Next off, principal's report.
Just a few things to highlight this evening. First, I wanted to put a thank you to Therese Han and Brian Thule, our PE teachers. I've had the opportunity to be in their gym in the last month on a couple of occasions, and just what they've been doing to promote lifelong fitness and the things that they do in the gym is just, I don't know, it's just great to see how the students are always checking their heart rates and gauging their steps that they're taking. So within the activity, they're really great at promoting lifelong fitness. So I just want to acknowledge them for that. And then Kim Sype, who's leading staff on Wednesday mornings. Every Wednesday morning, our staff meeting is related to reading and the work that Kim has done to lead that. And then also, she's doing a lot of coaching this year, working in teacher classrooms and doing a lot of coaching, so I wanted to highlight her. And then related to that, and Kathy talked about the piloting this year, and I wanted to acknowledge Nicole Northrup, Diane Schills, Sarah Gustafson, Lisa Roanhouse, Paul Bass, Ms. Krieger, and Nancy Giesek for the work that they've been putting into piloting the reading series. Because not only are they looking at the curriculum that we have in place, but they're also putting a lot of extra time in looking at that series. And the cool part I see in the last month is they're doing a lot more sharing with their other colleagues who are seeing the materials, liking some things they see, and taking time to share and show the good things that they're doing. Any questions?
I apologize, does it make your concert? I was a little under the weather than I was planning to. Sorry.
It was good. I think so.
I had a substitute in there that told me it was pretty good.
Okay.
I wanted to recognize tonight some people that sometimes fly under the radar as far as recognition. First of all, Shelley Befford and Jessica Anderson, who are front desk secretaries, and often the first exposure people have to our building, and both of them do a wonderful job. To go off of what Sandy had said, I did want to also acknowledge our special ed aides, their versatility and willingness to pick up things and to fill in when necessary is outstanding. Evergreen is very fortunate with the group that we have. The food service people, my good friend Sue Schneider, who's been here, she told me the other day, 27 years I believe she's been serving food. And gets to know the kids individually, and they do such a nice job. Nikki Krafchick is back in second grade, returning from her leave, and today Sarah Agers returned to the kindergarten classroom. Both hit the ground running. The substitutes did a wonderful job, long-term subs. It's good to have them back, familiar faces back. Safety committee, Brenda Serby is really taking the lead on that. Met with her as recently as this afternoon, and we'll be meeting with her again Wednesday as things continuously change. She's keeping us up to date, and I really appreciate that. Last week we had our 5th grade maturation program presented by Ms. Shealy. Myself and Mr. Befford sat in with the boys' presentation, and she does a very nice job, very appropriate job with that program. And finally, the Evergreen Food Drive concluded last week, and 1,220 items were picked up this morning. And the kids really took the leadership role in that, especially at the 5th grade level, and I'm grateful for that. I think that's all I have. Is there any questions?
I'm going to do double duty on Mr. G's report. He emailed it to me before he went home sick. He says he'd like to say thank you to Mr. Roberson, Ms. Freimark, Mrs. Canales, and Mrs. Nelson for the outstanding holiday concert. We had a full house and the students did an awesome job. He'd also like to recognize Ms. Brinkman, Mrs. Darmeling, Mrs. Olenek for having the parents of their students come in so that the students could share the work they have done. The students did an amazing job presenting. It was very nice to have the families come in and be part of the class for part of the day. And finally, he'd like to recognize Ms. Romas and Ms. Hayek and the student council members. Tomorrow evening, they will be going to Waterford Senior Living to spread holiday cheer by doing some caroling for the residents. I'd ask if you have any questions, but I'm not sure if I can do them, but I could try. So that's from Jim. For the Fox River report, a couple different things going on over there. I guess I want to say thank you for the music. It's been talked about, so I don't need to talk anymore about it. But tomorrow night I'll see you for the Colors concert, and Thursday night I'll see you for the band concert. So we've got a big week together tonight and Tuesday, Thursday. And Saturday, I highly recommend that you go shopping at Pick and Save anywhere between the hours of 12 and 4 because my BLT bucket ringers will be over there playing their instruments. I'm hoping that we're going to get some great money for the Salvation Army. We've got kids that have signed up on the Google Doc here. Every slot has been filled by kids to be playing their instruments. So congratulations for the band leadership team, just giving some community service back to the community. A couple of people I want to also recognize here is I'd like to recognize some students, and I'll say their names first. And those students would be Sam Fay, Lucy Wagner, Kristen Rank, Amber Lund, and Maggie Bennett. And these students were submitted to the Patriot Pens essay contest, Why I Appreciate American Veterans. And 4 of them have won honorable mention, and they get a $25 recognition for that from the VFW. And then Maggie Bennett has taken first place. She gets $50, and she was recognized at the district level. And this is all under the direction of Mrs. Rather, so I'd like to thank Mrs. Rather for helping her kids, getting them involved in this community piece, and we got very fortunate this year to have some fantastic winners, so congratulations to all of those people. Thank you to Mr. Brozick and Mrs. Lane. Last Monday, a week ago, was our final visit to MSOE with the Fluid Power Challenge. We had 16 students, 4 teams involved in that, and it was pretty cool to listen to the kids when they were done. They're like, I didn't know this stuff would be so much fun. I could be an engineer someday. So just really branching out, and a different group of kids. We took a different flavor. We opened it up to anybody this year. And we had a lot of people that really flourished in this little environment. So it was awesome to see how some of those students responded. So thank you to those 2 teachers. I would like to say thank you to Mrs. Hackstein and all of her students that are in her program, our at-risk program, along with Mrs. Kluppel. We had 3 families in our building that our building collected toys, clothes, and whatever the case may be that the family requests. And with the help of all the students in Mrs. Hackstein's room, they wrapped them, packaged them, and helped them get into Mrs. Kluppel's car, and they were delivered off so that someone that is not as fortunate as all of us at Fox River have a happy, fun Christmas. So 3 families were because of Fox River students. So thank you to those 2 teachers. I'd also like to say thank you to Nicole Byers. She's a talented and gifted teacher in the district. And Erin Dietz, my reading teacher. We have just had some fantastic conversations about higher level students and meeting their needs and reading with the ELA. And it's just, every time I get done talking to them, my mind spins more, but I just enjoy the dialogue and where they're helping all of us get. Don't know that yet. Someday we'll let you know, but we are talking. And finally, I know that Mr. Maltup had said it, but my special ed aides, and Sandy had said it too, I have 3 full-time special ed aides in the building. Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Walter, Mrs. Yorby, who have been with the district in my building a very, very long time, and I know in other buildings. And then I have 4 part-time assistants in the building, and I just can't say enough of what these aides do to meet the needs of the students that we have in our building. So kudos to those people. They by no means do they not get enough recognition, and I just like to thank you very much for their help. I think that's about it for tonight. Questions for me?
I have a general question for everybody. Speaking of the concerts, is the new equipment in place? Well, not yet?
No.
I asked that last week.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Deanna was doing yeah, she was having some problems with the sound today. We had, all APKs out for tomorrow for Deanna, so yes. No, not ready to go yet.
Okay.
Maybe spring concerts, I bet.
There we go.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to committee reports. Personnel and Finance, Dan.
Personnel and Finance on December 8th. All board members are present, as well as Cannon, Kathy, and Mr. Yo. All the meeting order at 6:03. John reviewed check ledger. Nothing unusual check ledger. Everything fine. No questions on year-to-date budget. I asked Mr. Yo to follow up with some information back to the committee on Clean Power's contract and the special ed consortium bid, which he's done that. We had a brief discussion on the taxation rates in local municipalities. And Mr. Yoke noted the receipt of the 2013-14 audit and briefly described the information in it. And since then, you've got more information on the local municipality question on there on everybody's taxes they're coming out with. And apparently the discussion falls on tax credits, is that correct?
Right, how the tax levy credit.
How the credits are applied to different school districts.
Right, and it's
Since
most
you don't-
normal in the union school districts.
So you don't have K-12, it doesn't look correct. And therefore, what happened was the high school district surged in percentage, the elementary decreased, but since ours is a larger portion, our decrease offsets their surge. And if everything falls through correctly, each person's individual taxation should be lower this year than it was last year, unless, of course, they had a reassessment on the property.
Correct.
So hopefully that solidifies some interest that we've had. And I've also put some comments on a couple blog spots stating the same thing, so hopefully that takes care of that.
Right.
But I'm sure there'll be more questions. But that was it. Any questions?
Nope, you got your answers on the Clean Power?
Yep. Clean Power, I think, was up to
16, June.
Right, and consortium, you have to have an 18-month
Notification.
crawl, that being correct, so. I would still say that you should bring that up at the January meeting for the supervisory district, just to say that obviously you should go out for bid and see what the bids are going to be.
Okay.
Last time, I don't believe went out for bid, we just updated the contract.
The only other thing I would add is the taxation piece just wasn't a Waterford piece, it was a Union Grove piece. A lot of the union.
All these guys,
All the,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah. It just freaked a few people out.
Yes, understandably.
Darn high school board.
Yeah, I think.
Any other questions? Next, policy and curriculum, Dawn.
For policy and curriculum, Kathy provided updates on 4K. To date, we have 66 students registered, and we talked about the enrollment distribution throughout the district. The board the committee expressed interest in wraparound care for our 4K students, and we'll be discussing that's going to come up later in our agenda. Next steps are some curriculum studies. A team of 4 teachers will be studying the programs. And then further studies being done on transportation and room availability in the schools. The board, we're waiting, currently we only have 7 students enrolled at Rainbow Preschool or interested in Rainbow Preschool. So we're waiting to see if more students become interested in that location to determine if it is the right thing to partner with them due to enrollment. And then we also discussed briefly with Homestead Daycare and Rainbow because they had some representatives here in the audience. We discussed 4K with them. We also discussed transitioning board packets to a digital platform, and that's going to be coming to the technology committee, possibly coming to us in February. And then we discussed policy 155 and how it potentially inhibits communication. And I made the recommendation to the committee that we look at suspending the policy and look at introducing a professional code of conduct, and that's coming up later in our agenda also. And then we had proposed policy revisions on the policy that were already listed this evening.
Any questions? One thing, I think we're up to 65 students signed up now for 4K.
66.
66, okay. One thing I'd like to see next month would be to start looking at the employee handbook. That's one of the things that have come out. And also ways for employees to get some input from them. Just one more time, sure. It was pretty well written, but I think